on here. I'm asking you all to forgive me. I'm going to do something that I very seldom do. I am going to do something a little different in that I'm going to actually tag some people into this live feed. And I'm asking you that when you come on, because I'm going to be tagging people, something I very seldom do, but I know how to do it. And so as I tag people, I'm asking each of you to tag somebody in your feed so we can have a bigger audience when we get started. So I'm asking each of you to tag somebody in. I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, to get to Free Press, George Boston Rhines, at the grave of Kendrick Johnson. And as you all know, he was murdered January 10th, 2013, and there have been no justice received here in Valdosta and Lowndes County, also known as Titletown, USA. I'm asking you who follow me, such as Bobby Worthy, who knows how to tag people, I'm asking you to tag your friends on this video. Now let me tell you why I say this. Originally, I had planned to do an interview with Kendrick's father, Kenneth, today. But then I thought about all the news media outlets that interview him, and they give him sound bites and they publish what they want to publish. So I told Kenneth when he got here on location, I said, I'm not doing an interview. I'm going to do a freedom of the press video wherein he can give it to you the way he wants to. Now, I am sure that the forces of wickedness will cut our live feed off. I know they're going to do that. That's what I expect from them. They've been doing it for a long time. But I have my other camera also recording, and I will have it on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and other websites, including www.georgebostonryan.com. Because it's time now for black people to stand up under what the Constitution says is your right. And what is that? Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and your right to know. Now, we're about to go live. I'm not doing a lot of interviews. I'm going to say a few words at the beginning, but I am going to let the Father talk to you so you will know where he stands. And they'll be taking a trip to a location here in the United States, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to let you tell it. I'm going to let him tell you where they'll be journeying to. Once again, don't you, listen to me closely, y'all. I know some of you all kind of slow. I know that because I'm a little slow myself. And I'm older. But I'm asking the people who know how to tag all them thousands of friends that you have on your Facebook channel. Just share it with them so they can hear this live feed, and we're going to give it to you uncut, and we're going to give it to you like everybody in America should want it. And how is that? Uncut and the unadulterated truth. This is to get to Free Press, and I'm George Valdosta-Lowndes. I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, the county of Lowndes, and the state of Georgia. I'm out at the grave site of Kendrick Johnson, who was found dead at the Lowndes County High School gym, January 11th, 2013. This is not an interview. This is what I call a freedom of speech video. And for once, since January 11th, 2013, I want you to hear from the Father I'm not going to tell you what is happening this week. He can tell you himself. I give you the father of Kenneth Johnson, on behalf of his wife, grandmother English, brother Eddie Tooley. I'm saying to you, America, and around the world, this is the father of Kenneth Johnson. How you doing, my brother?
All right, how you doing?
Tell us your story, my brother, in the way you want to.
We as the parents of Kenneth Johnson will continue to fight for justice for Kenneth Johnson. We always only wanted the truth of what happened to Kenneth Johnson. We only wanted the truth of who all was involved in Kenneth Johnson's death. You can't make a murder out of an accident. So we still will fight for justice and what's right for Kendrick. We will be headed to Washington, D.C. this week to try and talk to people who can get it out of Valdosta's hands. We are not only fighting for Kendrick Johnson, we are fighting for so many other deaths that happened right here in this town. We ask the families who lost loved ones and the injustice they've received, no matter how many years ago it was. We all need to unite as one and finally take this town down. There are so many deaths happening here, right here in Lowndes County. And some families have just turned their head to a blind eye. We all must come together and fight for our loved ones and make the truth be told. What happened to our loved ones? They're not going to do it for us. We got to do it ourselves. And we will be headed to Washington, D.C. this week. And I'm not going to only talk about Kendrick when I get to Washington. We are going to be sitting with some very important people. And I'm not only going to talk about Kendrick. I'm going to talk about the so many other deaths that happened right here in this town. And I want to say this. I'm going to change the subject just a little bit. But to our black leaders in this town, we need somebody to lead. We need somebody that's not going to be a coward. We need somebody to lead us that can speak what they see and not what they are told. All the black leaders in this town are supposed to be fighting for this town and for our people. All of you have let this community down. Not one of you stood and fought for what is right and for what your eyes see and what common sense tell you that it is to be. You only listen to what higher up tell you. You have a mind of your own. You know when something's not right. You wasn't born yesterday. People of this community, we need to vote people in these offices, in these positions, to help us all and not be a coward and willing to fight for what's right. Willie James Williams, Stephon Egerton, and many more, just like Kendrick Johnson, have not received justice. There have been so many jail deaths out in that county jail. These families have not received justice for what is right. People in this community like to always talk about black on black crime. But you got to realize when it's a black on black crime, 2 family loses. This one is dead, and the one goes to prison. But when it's a white on black crime, there's one dead, and the other ones go free. How can this community can stand and let this keep happening? It's not just Kendrick Johnson. There's so many others here in this town. And these black leaders here has failed this whole community. Every one of the black leaders have failed this community. They're scared to speak out and talk about what is right in this community. We don't need no one that's going to drop their head and kick rocks. We need someone that's going to stand and fight for what is right. I'm tired of you Negroes walking around here scratching on your head, laughing when it's not funny. It's time to stand up, Valdosta, and fight for what's right. And I'm fighting for everybody. I'm not just fighting for Kendrick Johnson. We, the Johnson family, will fight for everybody in this town. Because it's a damn shame that this is happening here in the 20th century. And everybody get a little threat, get a little crazy mess on Facebook. You shut up. You took your tail and run. But the Johnson family will walk with our heads up high and will continue to pursue what is right. Everybody that the Johnsons deal with, they get hate mail. They get threats. Everybody. Y'all think we don't know that when y'all threaten the people around us, you think we don't know? But the Johnsons is not cowards. The Johnsons is not afraid. The Johnsons will stand with their head up. And the Johnsons will take this town down. When it became to Kendrick Johnson, and y'all didn't do what was right, y'all didn't know y'all would have this kind of fight on y'all head. All y'all Negroes ran out there to Lowndes High School, running behind their football, running behind their basketball. They didn't give a damn about Kendrick Johnson. They don't give a damn about your children. Don't think it's no different. Because it's all the same. We all have black and brown kids. And they don't give a damn. So wake up, smell the coffee. Because this is real. We've been in a hell of a fight for the last 9 years. And we gonna get justice. We just don't know how close we are. We don't talk about it. Because we know how cowardly people are. But we will stand until we get justice for Kendrick Johnson. There's no backing away for us. The Johnson family, we're not afraid. Thank you.
Now, I have a few questions. I want to thank you for laying that out so perfectly about the city, the county, and Valdosta. Question. What date is this event this week?
It'll be the 8th.
8th of April.
Friday, 12 noon.
12 noon. What, I asked you this before, but what is the major, I'm not going to say disappointment, but what is the major problem with not being able to get answers and justice in this case?
Well, Brother Ryan, it's not only the Johnson family have not been able to get justice. So many other families. And it still happened in 1950 into the 20th century. Racism is alive and well. And we as people don't fight for what is right. They didn't do right in the 1950s, 1940s, 1930s. You go so on and so on. If the people that stand to fight for what is right, how white supremacists work. White supremacists is so deep. But the Johnson family, we will stand. We will fight white supremacists, no matter who. When it comes down to our seed, something we bear and brought to this world. I taught my own son how to drive a car. I taught my son so many things. And you think I'm going to turn my head and walk away? They made a fatal mistake. Because I would not walk away. I would stand. And I will get justice for Kevin. I don't give a damn what they say. I'm on the verge, and I'm going to break to get justice. And I'm real close. And they know we're real close. And we will get justice.
Okay. So, as I interpret what you just said, that if the black people in the 1800s until 2022, if they had stood up for the injustices, the murders and killings and mistreatment and discrimination of black folk had been addressed in years past, you're saying that we wouldn't have to deal with it today?
We wouldn't have to deal with it today. If you take maritime, Brother Ryan, if the black community would have stood up and fought and raised all kind of hell, even if it cost other black lives, if you stood there and fought for what is right and showed them people that you was not going to back away and just let and turn a blind eye to say, hey, this didn't happen, but it really did. If they would have fought, if our ancestors would have fought and fought and fought, no matter what, this would not be happening today. It's time to put an end to this racism, these white supremacists in these courthouses in Valdosta, and these peoples in Valdosta is so racist and prejudiced. It's time to put a stop to it.
Kenneth, what makes you call out the facts in the case dealing with your son? What makes you tell the truth? Use the word racism when a lot of people don't want to use it.
Well, Brother Rob,
why do you? I know you love your son.
Brother Rob, you got to call it for what it is. All of these different things happen. All of these things they're trying to stop from the public from knowing what happened. It's plain racism. Do you think if Kendrick would have killed the little white boy in school, during school, Kendrick would have never walked off that campus? If it was a white little boy was found on that campus dead, ain't no in the hell nobody would have walked away from this campus. I don't give a damn if they got the wrong people. Someone would have went to jail that day. No one. They would have locked that school down. They found a black kid dead. Everybody would walk around the school like normal. They said, well, we locked the school down. Oh, no, hell, you didn't. When the bells rang, class had changed. Children walking as normal. The next day, they went to school as normal. Like nothing had happened. You think they found a little white boy in that schoolhouse dead? You think Benny would have went on as usual? If that ain't racism, I don't know what it is. And then they have all the tapes out, the tape cut, and every time someone brings information about the alleged bail boys, what happened, they want to lock them up, Brother Ryan. They want to make them out of lies. This shit is really happening. They want to make everybody out of liars.
Mr. Johnson, do you feel in your heart of hearts that it was strange that they denied the family to ID the body, number one? Number two, the crime scene was not protected. They did even with footies or booties and footies as they call it, and contaminate this scene, and yet you don't hear nothing by any law enforcement officer or judicial system, not even the G.B.R, that something was done and somebody should have been counseled, reprimanded, fired, or received additional training?
But right, that's the unique part of this. That's how white supremacists work. It's a black child. A black child, they thought they could do this, and then that won't happen. They didn't know all this backlash was coming. Not only that, Brother Rod, when I said that every time that someone tells something about the Bell Boys, they want to lock them up, make them out of liars. The father did a deposition. And I told Pope this about how the consistent lies he did in his deposition. What's right? If the father can sit in front of my eyes, where my son lived with me all of his life, from the time he came from South Georgia Medical Center up until the time he died, and could tell me that Kenneth spent the night in his house for weeks, for weekends and weekends and weekends, and he didn't know, man, that I know you lied. And the consistent lies. But Brian, you're not gonna tell a lie if you ain't have nothing involved, if you wasn't involved in this any kind of way. You was not gonna tell these lies this man was telling. His sons were telling. Now, I want to say this, Brother Brian. How can Kenneth stay to the Bell's house all weekend long? He took Kenneth hunt fishing. But the daddy know this, but the boys don't know this. How in the hell could this happen? How can the Bell's mother say she took Kenneth home to where he stayed, but she didn't know where the house was? How can this family continue to tell lies about Kendrick when they can't prove none of this stuff? When Kendrick always lived with me from the time he was born, from the time we brought him from South Georgia Medical Center up until the time he died. He never spent a night with anyone else in his whole entire life. Up until he got a lot older, till he was about maybe 15, 16, we might let him stay. We let him stay over the Keisha house, and he spent the night with Solomon. But anyone else, we didn't play that shit. And for this family to continue to tell the lie. So that let me know that you and your family had a whole lot to do with this, because you will be sitting in my face and trying to convince me when I know you're lying.
Mr. Johnson, after you did your interview in front of the sheriff department, and the sheriff said no foul play, I went to the Superior Court and asked for a copy of what he found with a court stamp. They call it a date stamp. And it did not exist. So I then went to the sheriff department, and they actually gave me a copy of his rulings. I went to District Attorney Brad Sheevan and asked him why and if that document would be added into the case of your son. And he said that was an independent investigation, therefore it does not have to be filed with your case. My question to the DA was this: if somebody come from New York and wanted to get a complete historical account of what happened, they would miss out on his finding because it's not filed with the courts. Now, I don't know if they have something in the court stating that they need to go over to the sheriff department to get it, but I just found that to be kind of strange.
But Rob, we all got to remember one word, and that's white supremacists. They think they can do us any kind of way. Damn if they ain't wrong.
Mr. Johnson, I was in the courtroom and people talk about this all over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and every place else on the street. that you all have to pay $300,000. Now, Judge Richard Porter III presided over that. And to me, I saw some strange things in the courtroom. I want you to tell me, did you witness some of the strange stuff that I saw, like the lawyers actually raised their own hand, gave themselves their own oath, every one of them mostly.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, there was great disrespect between the attorneys and your attorney, Shaveen King. They talked to him in a way that was disrespectful. Number three, I walked outside of the courtroom. People that was in the courtroom came to me and said to me, and to WSB out of Atlanta, Channel 10, and Channel 6, and maybe some others, and asked them, did you all see Judge Richard Porter III sleeping on the bench, and yet he ruled against you? Can you put any light on what I said and witness? And I recorded these people because they wanted to get on tape.
Brother Ryan, not only was he asleep once, he was asleep many of times.
Right.
Many of times he was asleep. And he opened my eyes, he'll make a ruling. Don't know what the hell doesn't happen. He's asleep. But Brother Ryan, we as people's got to understand white supremacy. It's all involved in white supremacy. Brother Ryan, that $300 was put in place for us to make us run, to make us stop fighting. We don't give a damn about the $300,000. They can take the $400,000. They can take the $500,000. We don't give a damn because we gonna fight for what is right for Kendrick. The justice will be served to Kendrick. And Brother Ryan, that $300,000 is gonna make Porter, all the lawyers, look like damn fools when the truth come out about what happened to Kendrick Johnson. Brother Ryan, that $300 was put in place for one reason. Let's put this in place. Let's scare these Negroes. These Negroes gonna run. We say they owe this amount of money, these Negroes gonna run. But Brother Ryan, they was shocked when they see we still standing tall. We still gonna fight for what's right. See, that's the key, Brother Ryan. No matter what trick they play. Brother Ryan, you mean to tell me we didn't have the right to go after these people for what happened to our son, and our son was found dead on that school campus, Brother Ryan? You think that anybody with common sense can see this? We didn't have a right to do it. We ain't got a right to go into this schoolhouse. Or is it? We as black people ain't got no business standing up to white people. Is that it? No. We will fight for what's right. We don't give a damn what they say we will. We fight for what is right. And righteousness always wins over wrong. And we will stand. We will stand for what is right. And we will get the glory.
Kenneth, I have another question. You called me the night that you found your son's body. I was with Eddie Will Tudor. And somebody called us and said that there was a janitor who wanted to speak with us. Then we found out, according to what I gathered, somebody said apparently somebody had got next to them and all of a sudden they don't want to talk anymore. Then Bo Webster, who I had never met before, who was a private investigator, along with the private investigator from Jacksonville, they came and met with me at Let's Eat Cafe. We had children talking about a white girl. Now, I haven't mentioned this. Talking about what happened to your son, and that several people was asked to go to the gym at a certain time. This was, I was told, by some children who actually went to the school. John Robinson, my friend, will testify to what I'm saying. Now, apparently somebody knew about George Valdosta-Lowndes. I'm not going to get into my criminal trespass because I know why we're here today. But they put me under criminal trespass for nothing. I can't go on no Lowndes County school property. So it seemed to me and others that they wanted to shut out the news media from going on that campus, getting information that could possibly lead to a solution to what happened to your son.
Well, Ryan, that's been happening for day one and it's still happening today. Like I said, every time someone want to come and tell something, Brother Ryan, I want the people to understand. When Sheriff Ashley Paul put out a $500,000 reward, that is not a reward for justice. That is a reward for you to come forth and they can make you shut the fuck up. I'm sorry I got to say it like that, but that is what it is. Just like with the $10,000 reward by Rowe and Taylor. That is designed for them to find out who all got information so they can shut it down. You think Ashley Paul is going to put up his own money to give a reward, $500,000 of his dollars? You got to be fucking joking. And Brother Ryan, what people don't understand is against the law for Sheriff Paul to even put up his money.
Run it by me again.
That is against the law for a sheriff to put up his own money. See, people don't understand this and know this. That is against the law, Brother Ryan. He can't do that.
Let me ask you another question. While you traveling the street, whose hands is that money in to ensure that it is given to the people? Is it in a bank somewhere set up that someone will monitor the person that come forth with the information? What kind of procedures are established about that $500,000 and how it is to be dispersed?
Well, Brother Ryan, that has not been told under any circumstances. Any circumstances, that has not been told. I can go up and say, hey, I put up $1 million. Is anybody going to come forward? Brother Ryan, how these people know they're going to get their money? See, why I got to go through him? Why they can't go through this special agencies and say, hey, take it out of Lowndes County hand. Paul, I'm talking specifically to Paul. Put your $5,000 into a special $500,000 to a special agency. They don't have nothing to do with Valdosta-Lowndes County. Let a independent investigators come in. You can do this with the snap of your finger. Let an independent investigators come in that Lowndes County don't have a damn thing to do with. Put your money up to them and let the chip fall where they be.
Mr. Johnson, once again, I'm with the Get To Free Press. You called me on the 11th of January, 2013, because you knew me. And apparently, School Superintendent Wes Taylor and former Sheriff Prine knew me, that I report the truth in the black community, and that I report what others ignore. Apparently, they knew that. Now, my next question, as a journalist, freelance, under the Get To Free Press, you have a copy of the ruling from Sheriff Ashley Paul. Yes or no?
Yes.
Does it show who names was involved in that investigation as proof in terms of who conducted that investigation, so there is a chain of respect or disrespect for the people who investigated his findings?
Well, Brother Ryan, I didn't see, I didn't pay that in attention, but I think it's the same investigators who was involved from the very beginning.
Okay, my question is, did you see anybody on the document that you have or you don't recall?
Say again?
Did you see any of the investigators' name on the document?
I can't recall right.
The copy that I have Sheriff Paul's name.
Yeah.
Signed under that statement or letter. That's what I received. Once again, that same statement, if it is legal, I ask, and I'm asking, the law, what is the law about that in comparison to the court case and his findings? In other words, I find it kind of hard that when I went to request a copy of that in the courthouse, nobody knew. They said it was an independent investigation, and that's what the sheriff does, and that's routine. And that may be true.
Well, come on.
Yeah.
Hold on, 2 minutes out.
Okay.
Something be going on.
Okay. Let's close out with your words, and we're going to close out.
Well, just as I stated, Brother Ryan, we, Johnson family, we are not only fighting for Kendrick Johnson. We are fighting now for all the injustice that happened here in Lowndes County. There have been so many other injustices deaths here in Lowndes County that families have completely either turned away or just was afraid to speak on what happened to their loved ones. This is the most difficult and hard job, but we, the Johnson family, will stand for everybody. Not only for Kendrick Johnson, but all the other injustices that have happened here in Lowndes County. We are taking the name of all other loved ones to Washington, D.C. We are going to get a change here in Lowndes County. And I want to say to all the black leaders here in Lowndes County, shame on you and your failure to stand and fight for what is right. You are not for the people. The Johnson family will stand and fight for what is right.
Roger B. Tawney, a Southerner, reads a decision that says that Dred Scott, as a black person, and black people generally, had never been, were not then, could never be citizens of the United States, and as such have no rights which white men are bound to respect.